Welcome into On the Mark with Anita Marks. That is me, brought to you by 500 Level. Of course, take notice that I'm wearing my Malik Neighbors t-shirt. For you Giants fans out there, now you got your new quarterback, Russell Wilson. You want this wide receiver on your shirt, head over to 500 Level and definitely purchase that. And I'm sure the Russell Wilson t-shirt on 500 Level will be coming your way. But what do we know? Okay, Russell Wilson, 10-time Pro Bowl quarterback, 36 years old. This will be his third team in 3 seasons. Was in Denver. That did not go well. The Pittsburgh Steelers, and of course now with the Giants. He signs a 1-year, $10.5 million deal to be their starter and can earn up to $21 million in incentives. Now keep in mind, the Giants are still on the books for Daniel Jones, what we like to call a dead cap money, for about $22 million. So in essence, if Russell Wilson hits all his incentives, the Giants are pretty much paying what the average team pays for a starting quarterback in the NFL, which is a little over $40 million, just FYI. Again, just a reminder, 500 Level sponsors the podcast. Great t-shirts coming your way. They immortalize the legends of the game with iconic original graphic tees. 500 Levels custom t-shirts typically print next business day, shipped directly to your home. So sign up for fan points and begin earning on every purchase. Not only the NFL, and again, Giants fans, run, don't walk, but Major League Baseball for all you Yankee and Mets fans out there. We know opening day is right around the corner. MLS, NBA, NHL, and even UFC and WWE. So shop 500level.com now. Make sure you use my code, and that's Marks20 for 20% off 500 Level. Make sure you live like a legend. All right, joining us now is Jordan Rassan. You see him all over ESPN. He covers the Giants. Always great to have you on, Jordan. So the man of the hour, right? And that is Russell Wilson, 36 years old. This is his third team in 3 seasons. Of course, we're talking Denver, Pittsburgh, and now the Giants. A 1-year, $10.5 million deal. Incentives up to $21 million. Dude, why did it take so long to get this deal done?
Aaron Rodgers. I mean, that's why it took so long to get the deal done. The Giants were sitting there waiting on Aaron Rodgers. Russell Wilson was their backup the whole time, right? They were hoping to get one of the 2 quarterbacks. Ultimately, they did, but they waited as long as they possibly could for Aaron Rodgers. Now, this is just my theory, but I don't think it's a coincidence that the Cam Ward Pro Day was the day before that this got done. So finally, I think the Giants realized, hey, you know what? We're not going to be, it's unlikely, highly, highly unlikely that we're going to be able to trade up to number 1 to get Cam Ward or get Cam Ward in any way, shape, or form, knowing that he, at least for most people you talk to around the league, is the consensus number 1 quarterback. So at that point, they said, you know what? We really can't wait that much longer. What if Russell Wilson goes somewhere else? You know, they did sign Jameis Winston as a contingency, but now they have Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston. And the reason for that is because they don't want what happened last year, 3-14, to happen again.
Yeah, so that's a very crowded quarterback room, right? When the Jameis Winston deal was announced, I told a lot of Giants fans, hold your roll. I don't believe he's going to be your starting quarterback. I think this is the same situation we saw last year, right, with Drew Lock. I do believe that he'll be your backup. And sure enough, you've got him, you've got Tommy Cutlets, all right? You've got DeVito in that quarterback room as well. It's very crowded. How good of a quarterback room and a quarterback situation this is for a team competing in the NFC East. If you look around the NFC East, where would you slate the Giants in regard to their quarterback room?
Last. I mean, it's last by a wide margin. Come on. I mean, the other ones have Pro Bowl quarterbacks. You have Jaden Daniels in Washington. He's the new up and comer hero savior for Washington. Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl, and Dak Prescott has a track record of success where he was the runner-up for MVP just I think 3 years ago. Now Russell Wilson has a track record, but he's not that Russell Wilson anymore. Right? He's 22nd in QBR each of the last 2 years. 22nd and 21st. He's on his 4th team in 5 years. Jameis Winston hasn't started in 5 years. But it's strength by numbers for the Giants. I mean, would you rather have strength by numbers? Just throw a bunch of guys into the room, let them compete, see what happens and comes out of there? Or would you rather have one of these guys where you know you're going to get high-level play? I think the answer is that's kind of a rhetorical question, Anita. You'd rather have the guys that can play at a high level, and you know that. So Yeah, it's definitely an uphill battle for them, but I don't think they're not done yet. They're going to add another quarterback. You say it's crowded, it's about to get more crowded. John Mara said after the season, our number one issue, our number one priority is finding a quarterback for the future, whether it be free agency or trade, or I mean, the draft or trade. They didn't get Matthew Stafford. They tried to trade for him. Now you look to the draft to try and find your future franchise quarterback. And maybe at three, and maybe at the back end of the first round, trading back in, and maybe at the start of uh, round two, or maybe it's be a day two pick. I don't know. But I would expect the Giants to add a quarterback, knowing that they came into the offseason saying, we need a quarterback of the future.
All right, so let's shelf the NFL draft conversation because I do want to get to that with you in just a second. But let's talk about Malik Neighbors, and of course I'm wearing my 500 level Malik Neighbors T-shirt, which I get a lot of compliments about when I'm walking around town here in Hoboken, New Jersey. But nonetheless, I did watch a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers games last year, and one thing that I did realize, and to my surprise, Jordan, was the beautiful touch passes and long balls that Russell Wilson was able to complete, all right, when he had a healthy wide receiving core. I'm excited to see what he can do with Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors' reception yard total has not hit the board yet, all right? When it does, you can guarantee that I'm going to hit that over. I'm excited to see how Russell is going to work with Malik Neighbors. What say you?
Yeah, I mean the moon ball, as they call it with Russell Wilson, that's his strength, throwing the ball deep on the perimeter. He doesn't use the middle of the field, which is a little bit concerning for Malik Neighbors, but Malik Neighbors does do a lot of his damage on the outside. Let him go up, let him make plays. That seems like a perfect fit. The only thing I'll say to you, and I think his numbers will naturally increase because he's going to get better as he goes along, Malik Neighbors. He was a rookie last year. There were times where basically other guys were telling him where to line up, right? And that Darius Slayton played a big role in that. But here's the only thing I'll say to that, Anita. And I had guys in the Giants locker room say, like, this is unsustainable. The targets he was receiving per game. I mean, you're talking 13 to 15 targets a game, basically. I think he led the league in targets per game. He was in the top three, I believe, in total targets, even though he missed several games. If that number of targets per game decreases, how much does that affect his overall stats? Like, it won't just be like, all right, now he gets Russell Wilson, he's going to add another 500 yards. I think naturally the ball will be spread around a little bit more. There'll be a lot of shorter passes, especially with Russell Wilson being, he either throws short to, to the perimeter or he throws the ball deep. So, Wan'Dale Robinson, I expect to get a lot of balls as well with Russell Wilson as the quarterback.
They have Theo Johnson as their tight end. Didn't do a lot in regards to the offensive line. Added some backups.
I don't feel great about Russ with tight ends, though. To be honest with you, that's the one thing. That's not his specialty. That worries me with Theo Johnson.
And hopefully moving O'Neal to right guard. We'll see what happens with the offensive line. I will say this though, Jordan. I do like what they've done defensively. Right? They bring in Holland from the Miami Dolphins, great safety. Who's the corner that they brought in, right?
Paulson Adebo. Yep.
Adebo, right? And Golston, 5.5 sacks with the Dallas Cowboys. I feel like they have sprinkled in some good talent to add to that defense. So with that being said, NFL futures for the Giants. Here we go. Super Bowl, 150-1. No surprise there. To win the NFC, 70-1. To win the division, 22-1. The Eagles, no surprise, are favored at -140. The Commanders at +190. The Cowboys at +750. I like the Commanders coming in. But as we have talked about, whether it's on radio or podcasts, whatever the case, this is a must-win year for Dable and Shane. Are you in agreement that they need to finish the season above 500 in order to save their ass?
They went 3-14 last year, so I wouldn't go that far and say above 500. I mean, a 7-10 season would actually be a significant a 4-game jump for this group. So I think that would be a pretty good season for them if they went 7-10 and showed significant growth and say, hey, look at our roster. It's built around once we get that quarterback of the future in here to actually start and play, then we're really going to take off. And look, the Giants have said it and Joe Shane has said it. I mean, John Mara said it. Joe Shane has said it. Pretty much everyone in the Giants has said it. They think that the quarterback, once they have a competent and better quarterback play, it's going to make everything look better. Now we'll see if that's true. But yeah, the pressure's on them to have to produce better results. I'm not going to say winning record is the line of demarcation, but they certainly need to win more games than three, or even if it's, the win total is 4.5 right now at ESPN Bet. It started at 3.5. Like you win 3 or 4 or 5 games, that's probably not going to get it done.
Yeah, and this is exactly where I was headed with you, Jordan. So 3.5, 4.5 in some places. Boy, if you could get the over at 3.5, and listen, this schedule,
That's a crazy number.
it is. This schedule
That's a
is not
crazy
easy, right? Like I have them like on a good season. I've got them going like 2-4 in the division. At home, Green Bay, Kansas City, the Chargers, Minnesota, and the 49ers away.
Ooh,
Chicago,
that's
Denver,
tough.
Detroit, the Raiders, the Patriots, and New Orleans. Like, Jordan, this team, if you can get the over at 3.5 for the Giants with Russell Wilson at quarterback, you've got to think like this team can at least win 4 games, right?
I mean, most NFL teams win 4 games by accident, right? And so I would think, especially with a veteran quarterback, like Russell Wilson's not Russell Wilson of the past, but he's also not a guy who won't come out and play some good games. So yeah, I would think if it's at 3.5, first of all, it's not at 3.5 anymore. I think that disappeared real quick, and it's probably not going to come back. Like that's such a low number. So yeah, if you could, I would. I also think that seems like a pretty favorable number. I saw that and I was like, man, 3.5. And I understand the schedule played a big part in that. Like, forget that people don't think the Giants are very good, but the schedule, when you look at it as well, you read those home games are brutal that you just named. So I could see why, but 3 is really low in the NFL. 3.5, like to get 4 is definitely seems doable.
I want to say they have 9 teams that made it to the postseason last year that they have to face heading into the 2025 season. All right, let's circle back to the draft because now what teams, as we know what they like to do, free agency, they like to, round out their roster so they're not going into the draft feeling needy, right? They want to draft what they want, not what they need. But very interesting. You said earlier you don't believe that the quarterback room is finalized yet, which means I'm sure you do believe that they're going to take a quarterback. So the Giants are sitting there at 3. Cam Ward had this amazing pro day. Everybody's expecting Tennessee to take Cam Ward. Some people feel that maybe Cleveland will take Sanders. If Sanders is still on the board at 3, Jordan, do the Giants take him?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a long, hard discussion about Shador Sanders over the next, what are we, a month away or so. I've heard there's some people in the organization that really like him, and I've heard there's some others that aren't completely enamored by him. So it's there's a big part of the process that's remaining. I think the pro day for Shador Sanders still exists. The private workouts are huge for the Giants. Brian Dable likes to get his hands on them. Test these guys, get them into the building in visits. So I don't think we're there at the point where I could really say definitively one way or the other. I think it's really probably going to come down to right before the draft, before you could feel confident either way. But I do feel more confident that even if the Giants decide that that's not the guy, that hey, we at least are good enough to get by this year. We don't need to force a pick at 3. Let's just take the best available player, whether it be Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, whoever it may be. Take that guy and then look to get a quarterback at the bottom half of the second round, maybe moving back in the top of the bottom of the first round. I meant top of the second round, something like that, somewhere on day 2, where they could take a developmental prospect and try and build him up over the next couple of years, whether that be Jalen Milroe, Kyle McCord, Will Howard, Quinn Ewers, something along those lines. At least then I think you can sell, hey, we have a quarterback we think who ultimately may be good further on down the line. We're building out the roster together. So the bottom line is I'm not sure on Shador Sanders. I get mixed reviews.
Jackson Dart, maybe somebody that the Giants could trade back into the bottom of the first round and
That's
get?
going to be tougher. The only reason I didn't say Dart was because that's going to be tougher. I don't know if he's there, realistically in the mid-20s or something. Like it's definitely possible somebody likes Jackson Dart and takes him in the middle of the first round. And that's hard for the Giants to get there.
So some draft prop bets that are out there right now. The first position selected for the New York Football Giants, cornerback -140. Obviously, that would be Hunter. Quarterback plus 165. If Sanders is still there, who knows? Defensive line plus 250 with Carter, but of course Carter's dealing with that foot issue. He does have his Penn State Pro Day coming up, and as we both know, Barnes, the Giants,
Ronnie.
their medical staff, one of the most conservative in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm not overly worried about that. That's a short-term thing, I believe, with Abdul Carter. It's not supposed to be something that is a huge concern moving forward. Like you can't look at it as the first half of his rookie year, he might be coming back from a foot injury. I think you got to look at it long term. Like, can you get 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years from this guy? And I think the answer is probably yes. I don't know his medicals, but from what I've heard, I haven't heard anybody say, I'm really worried about him long term. So I don't see that being a long term problem. And actually, I'd be surprised if he didn't go number 2 in the draft.
Jordan, great stuff as always, my friend. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
Let me hear real quick. I want to know what you think, Anita. Shador, there at 3. Do the Giants draft him
Would
or not?
would not touch him with a 10-foot pole.
You wouldn't, or the Giants wouldn't?
I would not. I don't think him or I don't think any of these. But I feel like I say this each and every year. It's like I don't feel that a lot of these quarterbacks are worthy of being drafted in the first round because they're projects, right? Trey Lance, I said about Trey Lance. I said about Zach Wilson. They're projects. I don't think you take if I'm a general manager, I'm not taking a quarterback in the first round, let alone the number 1, number 2, number 3 pick, unless I know it's a Joe Burrow or an Andrew Luck. And none of these guys are that. So if I'm the Giants, I would either take Hunter or Carter, or maybe, if there's a player out there that they feel is of equal talent or equal value to those two dudes, trade down. Try to get some draft stock. And if you're going to take a gamble on a player, I'd rather take a gamble on Jackson Dart, right? That you're going to get later on in the round. That's my 2 cents, but it's above my pay grade, Jordan. It's above my pay grade.
What do I know? I'm not a quarterback evaluator. All I know is at some point you're going to have to start taking shots on quarterbacks. This is year 4 for this regime.
Wait until Arch Manning comes out. That's what I say.
How many more years is that? How many more years is that? We haven't even seen him play in college yet, for real.
Oh, come on. We both know he's going to be a complete stud.
I don't. Don't know that.
Jordan, appreciate you, my friend. Finally it happened, but very interesting. Again, I guess the one thing I'm walking away here is that you said this quarterback room is not complete yet. So you're obviously feeling the Giants are going to draft a quarterback at some point in time in the draft. So it will be interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
Enjoy.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. All right, Giants fans. Russell Wilson is your starting quarterback heading into this coming season. Jameis Winston is your backup. DeVito's in there as well. Will there be a rookie quarterback joining the quarterback room? Only time will tell. Again, I want to thank Jordan Rassan for joining us. Also want to thank 500 Level, fantastic sponsor of our podcast. And stay tuned. Tomorrow, Buster Olney joins us on the program, getting you ready for Major League Baseball opening day. First pitch Thursday, 3 o'clock. We're going to talk Yankees, Mets, across the board, giving you some Major League Baseball futures bets. So make sure, look for that podcast to drop bright and early tomorrow morning, right here. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. On the Mark with Anita Marks.